Let's be honest, there are so many anime coming out these days that it takes a properly insane person to watch everything in a season. Most people with any sense are going to be watching a top 10 of winter 2023 list to figure out what's worth watching. That being said, I am one of those insane people, so stick around to figure out some of the best and worst shows this cold winter season. Starting out, we've got Onimai. Should a neat loser, much like me, gets turned into a girl by his scientist sister, not much like me. This show is a little weird. The easiest way to describe it is that it's very anime. That being said, if you are already indoctrinated and can look past all the anime BS, you'll come to find a surprisingly solid comedy anime that has also got some of the most wholesome moments despite its wacky premise. The art direction is more interesting than most shows without being too out there, and the animation is fantastic. Seriously, some of the most visually fun animation I've seen in a long time. Even the writing for this show has been great. The jokes are actually funny, and the characters are fairly interesting too. Definitely worth taking a look if you can withstand the anime qualities and you're looking for a new relaxing comedy to enjoy. Also, unless Konosuba, An Explosion on This Wonderful World, hits hard next season, or there's something I haven't heard of that blows up, there's a good chance this ends up being my choice for the best comedy of the year. This show gets a solid 8 out of 10 from me and a 9 out of 10 for enjoyment so far. Absolutely gonna keep watching this one this season. Making bank by gaslighting people in another world. Okay, maybe not. Saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement is definitely a strange one this season. Yes, as the name suggests, it's yet another isekai. Surprising, isn't it? And as my joke suggests, at least half of this show is the main character, Mitsuha, deciding to gaslight the ever-loving shit out of people so she can figure out how to abuse her newfound ability to travel between a fantasy world and the real world. And no, she doesn't do this for power nor fame, but rather for a reasonable amount of money to live and retire comfortably. This show is the closest definition of mid that I have ever encountered. The animation is decent, but not great. The art design is bog standard, the voice acting is nothing special, and the story has almost nothing going for it. It's frankly pretty boring. That being said, if you want to see a cute girl gaslight people, maybe get therapy instead of watching this anime. Seriously though, I'm not sure you could convince me to give this show anything above a 6 out of 10 for hard score, and furthermore, I may be in need of some therapy because I'm likely to finish this anime. 8 out of 10 for enjoyment. I hate that I like shitty isekai. The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten is a new romance about a guy who helps the most popular girl in high school by giving her an umbrella and ends up with a girl acting as a totally platonic housewife. Yeah, I can't say it makes the most sense, but that's never stopped me before when watching anime. This show has been hard to nail down my thoughts on. Some of the episodes feel rather lackluster and some feel extremely well done. It's quite a strange predicament. In many ways, the show feels quite understated. It's simple, but not really plain. The ways the characters interact is far more believable than how normal anime characters tend to act, with the very large exception of the premise. It's actually quite nice, however, to see more understandable quips and reaction. All the characters just feel more human than most anime tend to portray their characters. Overall, there's honestly not much that I can say about this show. It's a simple and cute romance that's definitely worth a shot if that's what you're looking for. But even after 5 episodes, I still don't really know what this show has to offer, making it hard to give a solid rating. This show is definitely a we'll have to wait and see type situation. Best I can do is give a 7 out of 10 for score and a 7 out of 10 for enjoyment, with both scores really being up in the air and depending on where these characters go and if the show can make itself a little more memorable. Handyman Saitou in Another World is simultaneously one of the most boring and one of the most interesting shows I have ever seen. Yes, ever seen, not just this season. The best way I can describe it is imagine you get served dinner. The food that comes out in front of you doesn't look all that special, but you're hungry, so you're gonna eat anyway. You take your first bite, and it's easily the most bog standard bland food you've ever had, except for one thing. There's a very minor taste, and you can't quite tell what it is. You keep eating in hopes you can pin down what this strange and somewhat interesting flavor is, but the more you eat, the blander it feels, and the more the taste vanishes. Handyman Saitou introduces a bunch of interesting characters with interesting designs and interesting quirks. However, the show never sticks with just a couple, instead choosing to jump between different groups at different times and completely different places. The interesting characters are put into a story that lacks almost any substance or real narrative. Not much felt like it was happening, and with the sheer amount of characters, it was hard to ever have the time to get invested into any of them specifically. There was an interesting taste, but that taste wasn't able to shine through the overall blandness of the show. I've heard mixed reviews on this show. Some people like it, and some people hate it. Overall, it seems to lack direction and dramatically overshadows the best parts of the show, the characters. It's frankly hard to give this show more than a 5 out of 10 for both scores. It could be worse, but I don't see it redeeming itself unless it can do a better dive into the characters. Kubo-san Won't Let Me Be Invisible is hands down one of my favorite romance shows ever. This paragon of the romance genre should no doubt be on everyone's to-watch list. It's everything a wholesome romance should be without the typical tropes and anime bullshit. Don't get me wrong, I do love anime bullshit. After all, I do love isekai. However, this anime is just beautiful. This show is a perfect example of a family-friendly show. Got a friend or family member who you want to watch anime, but you don't want to freak them out with the massive culture shock? Kubo-san could be a perfect choice. Great animation, character design, and storytelling. The main girl, Kubo-san, teases the main character, but not in the very unsay-so ways of Nagatoro. No, this show manages to keep the teasing to a level that feels realistic, making this show feel far more grounded and cute. Honestly, there's not all that much I can say about this show except it's perfect and wholesome and I love it. Go watch it now and be cleansed of your degeneracy. But don't watch it now. Maybe finish this video first, please. Oh, and like and subscribe or whatever. 9 out of 10 for score, 10 out of 10 for enjoyment. Don't skip this one. If you've got the time, it's well worth it. Spy Classroom was one of my most anticipated shows this season. I took one look at the title and the cover art on my anime list and was immediately excited. Girls with guns is a favorite combo of mine, and I mean, just look at the cover. Cute spy girls and a gun. Count me in. It really is that simple sometimes. Or at least that's what I would like to say, but this show ended up also being my biggest letdown of the season. Spy Classroom is about a group of 7, remember that number, girls from different spy academies who are all washouts. These washouts are expected to get together and learn from the greatest spy of all time and take on a mission impossible. Wait, no, an impossible mission. Same difference. These impossible missions have a 90% mortality rate, and even the best spies have tried and failed. Interesting-ish concept, terrible execution. The pacing is all over the place. In the first episode, you meet the girls, though it almost solely focuses on one of them. In the second episode, there's training for the impossible mission that they have coming up next month, and oh god, the mission starts in this episode as well. Okay, maybe the third episode can redeem itself. And it's basically a season finale. Okay, but I hardly know any of the 8 girls. Yes, they added another. I don't know what the hell's going on at this point. This show is bad, and I really mean bad. The only redeeming quality of this show is the cute girls, which you hardly get to know. The spy scenes feel overly dramatic and frankly a little lame, and it's really quite hard to take the impossible mission seriously when one of the girls refers to herself as part of, quote, a group of hotties. I seriously don't know what kind of crack the people that put the show together were on, but goddamn, I'm all in for it. Yeah, like I said, I love shitty anime. There is no way in hell I'm not gonna finish this one. 5 out of 10 for score, but 8 out of 10 for enjoyment. Lily is absolutely adorable. Watch only if you like seeing cute girls doing cute things. Honorable mention. Before I tell y'all about the best anime of the season, let me do a quick rundown of some of the shows I missed. Farming Life in Another World is your bog standard isekai anime, where Hiraku Machio, a man who lived his entire life on Earth suffering from severe illness, gets pitied by a god and given another chance to do whatever he wants in another world. Given his infinite choices, this man brilliantly chooses a manual labor job that most people would hate: farming. But luckily, is given an all-powerful tool that does all the work for him, turning this show into Stardew Valley the animation. And in no short time, he becomes an OP hermit living in the woods surrounded by all kinds of waifus. Truly a very mid show. 6 out of 10, only gonna keep watching because I'm a sucker for white-haired anime girls. My Life as Inukai-san's Dog is easily the most will only be seen in anime show I've seen in a long time. The title says most of it. Guy gets turned into a dog and adopted by his crush, then gets put in what I can only describe as not something you should do with your dog type situation. This show is pure fucked up white girl shit that only the most down horrendous people will even consider watching. I was pretty sure we all learned a while ago that this behavior was not looked favorably upon. Anime of the year, no doubt, 10 out of 10, best anime ever made. Even has a 5.26 on MAL. Misfit of Demon King Academy Season 2 is more of the great Anos Foldigode being the biggest Mega Chad Sigma male throughout all of anime ever. This second season has been much more of the wild, fun, and extremely over-the-top show so many people loved the first season for being. No complaints on my part, definitely worth checking out the first season if you haven't already. The reincarnation of the strongest exorcist in another world is one of the best mediocre shows this season. Of course, yet another isekai, this time with the twist being that the main character was already the OP character of a different fantasy world before he came here. Furthermore, we get another taste of the main character trying to be a background character once again, a trope that seems to be becoming quite popular recently. I do, however, rate this show quite well. Definitely worth watching if you're looking for another run-of-the-mill isekai to go brain dead to. And yes, 90% of the reason I like the show may be because I believe it contains the cutest waifu of this season, and I'll leave it up to you which one of these two I mean. Anyways, now for the best anime of winter 2023. The magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and the genius young lady. This is 1.5 long-ass light novel titles that has somehow become the immensely impressive dark horse of this season. Yes, it is another isekai, and yes, it is without a doubt the best anime this season. No, I'm not crazy yet. This show follows the adventurous life of the foolhardy and strongly individualistic princess Anis, who in the beginning saves the young lady Euphila from the prince's attempts to call off their engagement and publicly humiliate her. They then proceed to have all the adventures and romantic moments that make this show so damn good. And yes, despite what some people might say, gay girls is not the sole reason this show is good, though it does really help. Look, I cannot iterate enough how this show is spectacularly good. Everything has been so well written and unique. And despite reincarnation literally being in the title, there's been all of a couple seconds worth of isekai in this show up to this point. As far as I'm concerned, this is just a killer of a fantasy anime. Every little piece and every episode I watch just gets me more and more interested in these characters and this world. There are very few shows that could have a conversation where everyone is basically standing still for a few minutes and be so dramatically captivating. And there are even fewer shows that will have those long story building moments be so well made without sacrificing the screen time for the brilliant fights this anime portrayed. The magical broom brought a whole new dimension to many of the fights, made further interesting by the ways the character interact during the action scenes. Anis and Euphila are strong but not OP, capable but still flawed. There's no way for me to properly describe just how good this show is without making a full video. So subscribe for a video on this anime coming soon, or watch it and see for yourself. You won't be disappointed. 9 out of 10 for score and 10 out of 10 for enjoyment. Hands down, best show this season by miles. Thanks for watching.